Down at the lower right part of the map, Taldrum Ultra, we have our Zerg player from the Team Slayers. Lost the last game. I think he ran into some things he wasn't expecting, though. Can he do better this game? He is.
YugiOh.
Nice Razer headset there. Razer, another one of our sponsors. Thanks to them. Thanks also to Pepsi and G-Skill. Up here at the top right part of the map is our player from the Team Prime. He's got a lot riding on this game.
MarineKing Prime Week.
It is the MarineKing. He's also wearing the headset. You know what? I've actually worn that headset a little bit lately, and I like it. It's actually pretty comfortable for a big, heavy headset. Yeah, definitely. And the lights flash and stuff.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest with you, at first I thought they were kind of gimmicky because it was just like lights and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's just lights. But yeah, I've heard that they're actually really good headphones.
Well, Razer likes to put lights on everything they make. Like their mouse pads have like rings of lights and stuff. No, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Flashing lights are cool, Moltrap. I don't know.
I don't have any problem with flashing lights, man.
It's cool stuff.
I live in Seoul.
That's true, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to live here if I had a problem with flashing lights.
Yeah, if you don't like flashing lights, you probably shouldn't be living in Seoul, South Korea. It's almost as many as, I don't know, some other city with a lot of flashing lights. Vegas,
it's like Times Square everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not actually that bad, but there's lots of like glitziness.
Glitziness? Interesting.
Anyway, so we have the same build, it looks like, coming from
Supply Depot.
YugiOh. Oh wait, no, never mind. He did not go gas first this time.
Well, you know, it's a big map, so might as well go for the hatch first. Makes sense. Actually, no, he did go for the pool first. Just wanted to stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense as well.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, like we've seen in some other games recently, sometimes if you go for cheese on a map that you don't cheese on, then you can catch them off guard because they're not prepared for the cheese. Yeah. So you always want to be a little bit careful about that. And the thing is, depending on how he plays it, he can actually be okay because you get your queens out earlier, so your economy can be okay. And what's going on?
Oh, look at that. There's the barracks. You know, he moved out of the way. YugiOh came in and saw the factory being built and the barracks before his drone got chased out. And MarineKing lifting up his barracks and moving it back to put down a reactor.
That's interesting.
I'm really curious to see why he would just choose to give up the wall, you know, so early.
Yeah,
I think
that didn't really help him in game one, did it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really didn't at all. I think...
Is he going to re-wall with the factory, or...
Why would he
Maybe
do that?
He just wanted to put the reactor over there, and then he's going to put the barracks back in that spot when he switches the factory over.
You know, a big part of it, too, is just confusing your opponent. You know, there was no real useful reason to do that, but just
he's
by
actually
doing
just
that...
He's just going to say, you know what? I'm going to uninstall the door from the front of my house. Yeah. If you are a burglar, please come right in and steal my Marines.
You know, I like that kind of stuff, though, because you saw, you know, he did it, and suddenly we were like, well, what's he planning? Because he moved that barracks. That's the same thing that YugiOh is going to be thinking. He's going to see that move. He's like, well, there's no reason to really move that unless you're planning something else. Why would he be doing that?
YugiOh's all paranoid. He's like, what's he up to? What's he going to do? I don't know. And he's really just not doing anything.
Switching that factory right over with the tech lab again. He's going to be going for siege tanks now.
Huh.
Yeah. So just getting out those two Hellions. This is kind of your more common everyday reactor to Hellion expand, but just the way he did it makes it look like it could be something different.
Hellions going in there and not doing anything, just taking some damage. Forced back. But again, he can at least with those Hellions try and keep control of the map. He can go around and check the watchtowers, what have you, unless he's still poking in with them. Anyway, but we do have, as you can see there, another barracks going down on that reactor. So we've got triple Marine production available here.
Well, you know, it seems like he may just do sort of the classic two-base, you know, Marine tank push that we used to see so many Terrans do all the time. And here's kind of what happens when people start innovating so much. You get to a point where it's like, well, I'm just going to do, you know, the old standard and see how people do with it. It is a very strong push. Zerg needs to be pretty careful. Look at this. YugiOh's totally thinking Hellions right now. He's making a wall off there. And those buildings are going to be pretty vulnerable when the Marine tank push comes in a little bit later.
That's true. He could easily siege those up, shell them. Although he's, now he's just started siege tech.
Yeah.
And
he's going to get there
out with a decent force here. This is probably just a pressure. Although, actually, I don't know.
Well, this is that little push that you used to always see in TVZ.
Yeah.
You know, it's meant to do as much damage as it can. You know, you don't want to get over-aggressive with it. He did keep the Hellions alive as well. So, yeah, the most important thing is to just play safe with it. And I think that's what we're going to see MarineKing do. He did get there a little bit ahead of Siege Mode, but he is going to be able to kill the Evo Chamber really quickly.
Yeah.
Nice score there. And the Baneling Nest is going to be a little bit vulnerable as well.
Yeah, he's
Catching
actually just
YugiOh.
going to lose those buildings for free.
YugiOh does not have a lot of units right now, Molcrap.
He did make 8 Banelings before the Baneling Nest fell.
Whoa, Siege Mode almost getting done. Here come the Banelings. Siege Mode finishing right now. Is he going to siege in time, though?
Oh no, Banelings coming in. Those are his only 8 Banelings he killed.
That
most
actually,
of the Marines.
That went actually pretty good for MarineKing. You know, MarineKing's going to be pushed back right now, but, you know, it could have been worse. He did kill both those buildings. He's going to lose his tank as well. But, yeah, that was really good by MarineKing, you know, to kind of cause YugiOh to sort of wonder a little bit, panic a little bit, put down those buildings at the front, and look at that. He lost an Evo Chamber and a Baneling Nest at this stage of the game.
Yeah, that was actually pretty big.
Yeah, that's really important.
And you were right. He was like, oh, I need to block off for these Hellions, and then he just lost those 2 buildings without gaining anything from it.
Yep.
And now MarineKing can just kind of sit back. He's got Siege Mode, so he can just chill in his natural and keep a couple Siege tanks around, and he's going to be pretty safe from any kind of counter bust. And I think YugiOh knows that, and so he's just teching up and getting his 3rd in the meantime. He's going to have 4 Pathogen Gland Infestors in about a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that YugiOh knows that by killing all those units of MarineKings, he's got the time to get another expansion up. So that's what he's going to do. Probably going to see MarineKing try another push off of 2 bases. Maybe time that up with combat shields. Getting that rather than stim early on. A little bit faster. Can do that push again. Try to maybe catch them when they're droning up to populate their 3rd base. And looks like that's what he's going to do. He's going to need to be very careful of the Infestors, though.
Yeah, those Infestors are going to be super dangerous because MarineKing is not making medevacs. He does not even have a starport. So that means that those Marines, if they get fungled, and actually they don't have combat shields yet, they will in a moment, but if they get fungled once right now, they die. Period. There's nothing that can save them.
You know, I feel like YugiOh may have just overdone it with the Infestors again. That's one of the problems that we saw him have last game, is that he made too many early on.
Yeah, and he didn't have enough support units, actual Zerglings and Banelings, what have you. But here MarineKing is pushing in.
Yeah, this time he's got a lot of Lings in production. I've got a bad feeling for MarineKing.
I do as well, man.
Yep.
One fungal can kill all of his Marines right now. There's the fungal goes down. He actually did have combat shields, so he doesn't quite die to those, but the Zerglings will finish him off, and MarineKing's push gets absolutely slaughtered with virtually no losses for YugiOh.
Yeah.
Just a handful of Zerglings.
You know, I feel like MarineKing did push that a little bit early. Really tough without stim to do a lot of damage to that. YugiOh's going to move off the map. Infestors are racing infested Terrans.
And yeah, now he has a bunch of Infestors. He's making Zerglings as well. And I'm curious if he's probably not going to go and try and kill MarineKing right now, but now MarineKing is stuck at 2 bases, and YugiOh is free to populate his 3rd and do basically whatever he wants. He could, like, take a 4th, he could take a vacation to Brazil and go on vacation for a few days. He could
take a vacation,
make a peanut butter jelly sandwich if he wanted to. He could do whatever he wants right now.
The world is so full of possibilities.
Yeah, the world is his oyster. The world is his burrito.
I don't know. Do Zerg eat oysters?
They probably are like related to oysters.
Possibly. It's true. I don't know.
Anyway, MarineKing does technically have the supply advantage right now, so it's not like he's completely screwed at this point. Yep. He's starting to get his upgrades as well. He's actually getting some Marauders and Concussive Shells along with Stim and level 1 Infantry Armor to go with his already +1 weapons. So, still no medevacs though.
No, his first 2 are going to be coming up pretty much right now.
Oh, there they are.
The starport was being corrupted, or contaminated rather,
contaminated.
by the
Nice.
Overseer. So, yeah, that did slow it down a little bit.
That's
nice
actually really clever.
There. Yep.
And now MarineKing's moving across the map again. Needs to again be careful not to clump up too much with those Infestors around. There are, I believe, seven or eight fungals available to YugiOh right now.
Now a big Zergling drop just got loaded up by YugiOh, so if he can hold this and drop MarineKing's main, that'd be really difficult to deal with.
Nice fungal. Is he going to get the other fungal on those? No. Medevacs are going to heal him up slowly, but he goes in with the Marauders. Beautiful by YugiOh. He was trying to snipe the Infestors with Marauders stimmed, and instead they got fungaled and owned. And there's the Zergling drop with Infestors in the main.
Yeah, this could do a ton of damage to MarineKing, pulling back right now with what little he has left. YugiOh, though, in a little bit of danger. He doesn't have a huge army at his main, though. It's going to come a lot down to Infestor control. And right now, MarineKing doing a lot of damage.
MarineKing needs to do a lot more with this, actually. In the background, we're not seeing it, but all of his SCVs just got fungaled at the expansion. He is down to only 34 Harvesters right now.
MarineKing getting his force wiped out by Slayer's YugiOh at the moment. And how much damage did YugiOh do with that drop? What's the income?
He actually didn't kill any buildings. The most of the damage was done to SCVs and the Marines that tried to come back to kill it. He did lose a lot in that drop, though. He's lost a couple Infestors and some Marines.
MarineKing losing a couple more units there. And I almost feel like MarineKing's just kind of falling apart right now. He's sending these little attacks, each one is smaller than the last.
Well, and I mean, and this is the thing about MarineKing, though. This is his style. You're always like, oh, he should fall back and regroup, and he never does. He keeps attacking, but MarineKing somehow pulls it off sometimes. So we'll see if he can actually pull through this time or not. These spine crawlers are not quite up yet.
And Fungal getting some of the units, but MarineKing does have them split extremely well.
Oh my God, there's so many Zerglings there.
Yeah, that's a lot of Zerglings, and I don't know, with the Infestors, he's going to try to get a fungal. He gets a nice fungal on those Medevacs and some of the bio. Yeah, right now, MarineKing just losing a lot of units, down by about 20 supply at the moment. But, again, that's a lot of Infestors. And once the energy runs out, Moltrap, it's going to be really tough for him to defend against MarineKing without anything else.
He does have a fair amount of energy still, though. He's producing a lot of Zerglings to come and reinforce. He needs those Zerglings right now, though. The Infestors cannot quite fight this on their own. Well, they probably could, but they would use all their energy on Terrans or something. But yeah, MarineKing still putting the pressure on, and he might actually take out YugiOh's third somehow, magically, going in for one more defense, though, on that third.
And is he going to save it? The third so low right now.
More forces coming in from MarineKing, though.
I think MarineKing might have the third. This is really similar to how we saw YugiOh lose the last game. I mean, he made so many Infestors that he didn't really have a whole lot else to deal with the pushes. And Infestors are great, but when it comes down to it, Fungal isn't going to, win the match. It's not going to kill all the units. You're going to need more than just Infestors.
I like how he has a couple Corruptors in the mix as well. Kind of weird, but if you fungal a couple of Medevacs, then that'll be useful to have a couple of Corruptors there to finish them off. And he's actually moving out with these Infestors. He needs to fall back.
Yeah, and look at that. MarineKing sees the Corruptors and immediately switches over to making Vikings. So even if YugiOh does switch to the Broodlords, MarineKing will be ready for it.
These are kind of early Corruptors. I was trying to talk about how they might be useful against Medevacs, but I think they're really early for. He's just almost finished with his Hive. I don't know. Maybe he was thinking about
taking a shower under the Overlord. That's how Zerglings get clean.
Or that's how they get dirty, maybe. Maybe they like being dirty more than clean.
Maybe just has his mouth open.
And he actually just loaded up one Zergling in that Overlord to drop in the main.
Looks like...
Along with 4 Infestors.
I'm going to say it's a 4 Infestor hit squad.
Yeah, he's going to try and fungal the SCVs again. And right now, MarineKing is only mining it as natural. So this could do some serious damage.
Oh, no, but if the Overlord gets taken out... Oh, YugiOh!
No, YugiOh!
YugiOh! No! Oh, no. Those Infestors will never fungal anything now.
No, that was a huge, huge hit, man. That was a lot of money in those Overlords.
I know. That was 400 gas. Decent amount of minerals. Those spine crawlers are bleeding to death, Moltrap. Actually, they're okay. They're unburrowed, so they're off creep. They're fine.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah,
if they're unburrowed, they don't bleed?
Yeah, if they're unburrowed, they won't bleed to death. But if they're burrowed and off a creep, then they will.
I didn't even know that. That's kind of interesting.
That hatchery was taken out pretty quickly, and MarineKing expanding to his third right now. Greater Spire on the way, but MarineKing's been producing Vikings for quite a while. He's actually gone back to Medevac production for a little bit. MarineKing 30 supply ahead as well.
Yeah, he has 6 Vikings.
just teching too hard, I feel like. Kind of the opposite of what I'm used to seeing from him in the past.
Yeah, and in the background, MarineKing has actually taken a third base as well.
So Infester causing a bit of a nuisance there.
Cute move with the Brood Infester, but doesn't accomplish enough. Or very much at all.
And look at that, Corruptors taking out the Vikings of MarineKing. That is actually going to be very helpful once the Broodlords start to show up.
Yeah.
So YugiOh not out of it quite yet, but this game has been very back and forth. Oh, a lot of Bioforce
is he gonna
come to build the map.
Oh!
Speaking of that back and forth, things suddenly swinging back in YugiOh's favor. That's going to be tough to replace for MarineKing.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot of his bio. He just dropped down to 120 supply. And Neural Parasite on the tanks, doing so much damage to his own units. The Corruptors take out the Medivacs. He even actually Neural Parasited one of the Vikings.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've been seeing that a lot lately, actually. Neural Parasiting Vikings, which is a great way to worry about things in the air.
Yep, but it stops the Viking from killing your Corruptors and such as well. 5 Broodlords in production, as well as a bunch of Zerglings.
And
those Broodlords are going to be tough to deal with. Right now, MarineKing has only 3 Vikings, whereas there's Infestors and Corruptors around.
Yep. Infestitarians actually do pretty well. They have pretty high DPS.
That's true.
They are Marines, so there you go. Maybe next expansion we'll get Siege, or not Siege. We get Stim for the Infestitarians.
Yeah, right. Oh, that would be pretty.
I said Siege, but that just doesn't make any sense at all. What are they going to do, like sit down and then start shooting?
Yeah.
Maybe.
They can sit down and fire at a 45-degree angle.
I've always said Siege mode for Marauders. They sit down and can suddenly fire at air. You never know.
They lie on their backs.
Yep. All right, so here comes
the Broodlords.
He's got a strong army. I don't know if YugiOh's got enough to handle this. That's a lot of Broodlords, though.
Yeah, the Broodlords are being forced back. He can't actually get close enough to the Vikings to fungal them because there's so much bio underneath. And all of the Broodlords are going to die without doing too much damage. He's desperately trying to fungal. All those bio are very low on health. A couple more fungals could hold this off. There he goes in for it. No, he falls back again. I'm not sure why he's not.
Well, you know, the bio getting very low. YugiOh wants to give his Infestors time to get some energy again. But, you know, he's been behind pretty much all game. He's won some victories, but MarineKing hasn't really taken any damage himself. And suddenly, things are looking pretty grim for our Zerg player from Slayers.
Yes, indeed. He does have several fungals. He's waiting for these Zerglings, I believe, to go in with it.
Yeah,
but he's lost his third. He's lost his natural. Even if he holds this off, I'm not sure what he can do to come back in this game at this point. He lost all those Broodlords without doing anything. That was a huge investment. And now... They're
not really doing too much.
There he goes. Last-ditch defense.
Getting some decent fungals on some of the units there. But, you know, just not a lot of other units. That's been his problem all game. Lots of Infestors, not much else. And MarineKing is pretty much going to be able to have his way with the base of YugiOh right now.
Yeah, what base, man? He doesn't really have a base anymore.
Yeah.
All of Yu-Gi-Oh's base belong to MarineKing.
Pretty much.
And Yu-Gi-Oh! Still continuing to cast infested Terrans at bases, but MarineKing is mining, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Has 25 supply.
Yeah, only 10 drones right now, only 18 SCVs from MarineKing, but, you know, he's just so far ahead at the moment. 82 to 21 supply. Seriously?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wow.
I'm looking at him right now. I expected to turn around and see him with his hands on his face, but he's actually still moving his mouse around right now. I'm not sure what he's doing with it, though.
You know, I feel like he's like, well, maybe if I could kill enough SCVs, I have some sort of hope, but
there we go.
That's it. GG.
GG. MarineKing coming back from an initial deficit to take the win and advance to the round of 8 and the up and down matches.
It was looking a little bit iffy for a moment, but MarineKing survives, and look at that. He knows that was closer than he wanted it to be.
Yeah, he's relieved.
That was a close call. This guy wants to get back into Code S so badly. Very emotional player. YugiOh looking pretty disappointed today. Can't blame him. You know, he took a game off MarineKing, but it just wasn't meant to be, Moletrap.
Was not meant to be at all.
Yep.
And MarineKing's got to be happy about that, man.
Yeah, he looks relieved more than anything.
He's been so far. You know, he's been to the finals of Code S. He's been to the finals of before Code S.
Yep.
So he wants back into Code S, man.
Oh, yeah,
he must feel like he needs to get out Code A, and Must have been really disappointed he got down to Code A. Really, I'm sure has a drive to get back up into Code S right now. So he's going to have a chance.
Well, MarineKing's a really interesting player, too. I mean, he does really well. Then he kind of seems to think, all right, I need to change how I play. So he tries to change things up a little bit, starts to lose for a while, and then, after he kind of gets it, after he kind of develops this new style, I guess you could say, he jumps right back up again. So, I think we're in kind of one of those periods where he's sort of kind of reworking the way he does things a little bit. Kind of cool to see a player kind of take time to constantly kind of evolve their own play and improve. It's really cool.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no surprise there. I guess
a fast day.
Kind of a surprising how that went. I think YugiOh put up a really good fight, and he played really well.
He had a chance.
Almost took it a couple times, but MarineKing brings it at home. And so we're going to take a look at the final 8 bracket. Ganji is going to play Czech. And the winner of that will play the winner of Tasia versus JYP. So many strong players in this round of 8. Yoda versus Lenok. I'm sorry, I was mistaken about Lenok playing MarineKing next round.
It's okay. He has to beat Yoda first.
He has to beat Yoda first. And Jockji versus MarineKing. So we're going to have a TVZ, a TVP, TVZ, and a TVT in the final 8.
JYP, man, our last surviving Protoss player.
Yep, and only 2 Zergs left as well.
Yep.
So
it's a big deal, man.
Good stuff.
Definitely a little bit Terran heavy this season in the GSL. That could change, though. We do see it kind of come and go. It ebbs and flows.
Code A, Code A is often Terran heavy. I've noticed. It
seems that way. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, there have been a lot more Terrans that have won Code A than other races. We've had 2 Terran winners and 1 Zerg and 1 Protoss, if I remember right, in our 4 seasons of Code A.
There have been a couple seasons where it was like the top 4 was all Terrans.
That was like season 1. Season 2 was...
Season 1 and 3 and like last season.
It was Top versus Beyond Code A Season 1, Lucira versus Supernova second season. Then it was Puzzle versus Tassadar last season. Who's it going to be this season? Did I miss one?
Before that, it was Bomber versus
MVP. Bomber versus MVP. That was, Yeah, we casted that one. I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, that's how it goes when you've just been around for a while.
People sometimes are like, oh, how could you not remember that game you casted? It's like, well, I've casted Infinity games.
Yeah, exactly. When you
so I forgot one or 2.
We did see some pretty memorable games. The Maka versus Lenok series was really good. I loved how Maka played. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Later in the day, don't forget, we've got Team League coming up tonight.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be in a little over 2 hours, about 2.5 hours. The Team League starts. And then, don't forget, Project A.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
The Zerg legend from Brood War, Yellow, is training to try and get into Code A. He's a far distance from it right now, but they're going to be detailing. Yeah. They're going to be doing a show about his experience trying to train up to that. He's got the potential. I mean, obviously, he's been a programmer for many years.
Well, the Storm Zerg is a drizzle right now. You have to see if he can come back and make some waves here in Code A. We'll see. I mean, he's got a lot of good training partners, obviously. He's good friends with Slayer's Boxers. So, Boxer's out of Code A, so he's got some time.
I mean, he's Yellow.
And,
I'm sure most of the people playing in the GSL right now would probably be like, watched Yellow growing up.
Probably.
Yellow could probably go to Lucira or maybe not Nesty, but you could go to Lucira and be like,
Nesty.
He'd be like, hey, Lucira, teach me how to play Zerg. And Lucira would be like, okay.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe Nesty too.
Maybe Nesty.
I don't know. Anyway.
Nesty's probably older than Yellow,
I'm not sure how that show's going to be, but so tune in tonight after the Team League for the first episode of that show, and it's going to be very cool. You can see how that's going to go.
Yeah.
And reality shows like that are pretty fun, actually, when you get to watch like a pro gamer going through those trials and tribulations. Yeah.
It's been a fast day, hasn't it?
It was a pretty fast day, actually.
A lot of 2-0s. It's been fun, though.
Wolf is like, dang it, why couldn't it have been like that yesterday? That guy casted for like 10 hours straight yesterday.
Yeah, he was so tired.
11 hours with virtually no break.
He was still sleeping when we left to come to the studio.
Yeah.
He was like, guy's little wolf den. We put some newspaper in there for him. And some.
Do wolves actually gather newspapers?
Well, like if it's a pet wolf, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, do wolves like gather stuff in their den in general? Do they gather like shrubs and stuff?
I don't know. But if they want to make their computers better, they'll get G-Skill RAM, and they'll drink some Pepsi. I don't know, drinking Pepsi makes your computer better, makes you feel better. Thanks to our sponsors here.
So,
What?
Wolves don't use computers.
Maybe they do.
They're console players.
I know a wolf
mostly.
that uses computers. Console players. Well, he does like Star Fox, doesn't he?
It's true. Wolf likes Star Fox.
True. Yeah, a little bit.
Anyway, so I think we're going to wrap up for today.
Yep.
Remember to tune in a couple hours for the Team League. It's been some awesome games here for the Code A round of 16. Tune in next week for the round of 8.